The Okanagan was behind me, and it was time to head into a completely different part of British Columbia, Canada. Instead of vineyards and beaches, the scenery quickly changed to mountain passes, deep lakes, forests, and some of the most beautiful drives I've experienced. In this video, I'll take you along as I travel from the Vernon area through Burton, Nakusp, Revelstoke, and finally into Golden. I'll show you where I camped, what each area was really like, and what I'd recommend adding to your next road trip. Going east from Vernon, British Columbia. The further east I drove, the less busy things became. Traffic eased off and the highway became more scenic, and I found myself stopping far more often just to enjoy the views. One thing I enjoy about traveling slowly is discovering places I probably would have driven right past years ago. My first stop was at a rest stop just before the Needles Ferry. On this route, there's 2 ferries across Arrow Lake. I don't know much about you, but I get some funny vibes sometimes. I got some not so great vibes at this rest stop, and I did have some really bad dreams that night. So for me, that means I'll probably never go to that rest stop again. Highway 6 crosses a ferry at Lower Arrow Lake from Needles to Fauquier. So this was the ferry ride. And then the Burton, Nakusp area. This was completely different feel than Okanagan. Instead of wineries and tourist towns, it was quiet, relaxed, surrounded by mountains and the Arrow Lakes. If you're traveling in a van or an RV, this area has plenty of opportunity to get away from the crowds. And I came to my first Burton wilderness campsite. This was my view, a beautiful lake that I was able to park at. Here I found a great boondocking spot right on Arrow Lake. It was a lovely spot, had a bit of shade, was close to the lake, it was quiet, had good cell service, and Lucky was able to roam around and explore. However, on the 3rd day, a big RV arrived and had a bigger sound system, and they played their music way too loud. So I decided to move on. I went into Nakusp, where they have a big grocery store, gas, restaurants, coffee shops, a beautiful little town. I did drive back to near the area where I previously was, as cell service is important to me and I didn't realize how much it was. It was across the lake from where I was previously. It wasn't quite as nice as my first spot, but it still was great. I had a little bit of shade, and there were a few other campers there, so it was a really nice spot for a night. And then on my way towards Revelstoke, I stopped one night at Halfway Hot Spring. It was 11 kilometers on a rough road, uphill, but the campsite was really beautiful. I quite enjoyed being there, although there was no cell service. I got there early, so I was able to get a spot, and it did fill up by dinner time. So if you're interested, go early. The hot springs were a steep climb down, so unfortunately I didn't have the fitness to do that, so I wasn't able to get to the springs. I drove to Revelstoke across another ferry. This 20-minute ferry ride was from Galena Bay to Shelter Bay. I was right at the front on the ferry, so I had a full view of the lake and the scenery. It was a really pretty trip across. Revelstoke always impresses me. Towering mountains surround the town, and every direction seems to offer another incredible viewpoint. Although it's a popular destination, I found there were still quieter places nearby if you didn't mind exploring a little. In Revelstoke, I did some touristy things. I drove up Meadow in the Sky Parkway in Revelstoke National Park. The drive down was much more scenic than the drive up because you were able to see the beautiful mountain tops and the valley below. And it was really busy when I got to the top, so there was no parking. So again, go early in the morning. I was probably there just around noontime. I drove another 20 kilometers to Canyon Springs Campground. I got a spot there. It was a paid site. It was $42. I thought a little bit pricey for an on-service spot. The site had shade, which was really nice for the hot weather, and the hot springs were nearby, and there was cell service. Campsite, however, was a bit noisy. It was fairly near the highway, and also there was a train that came along the other side of the campground. So if you're not into the noise, maybe stay away from this campground. I then drove on through Glacier National Park to Golden. This video was taken at the top of Rogers Pass in Glacier National Park. Golden was my final stop on this part of my trip. It's another town surrounded by incredible mountain scenery, but it has its own personality. In Golden, I stayed at 2 different recreation sites. The first one was Wait a Bit Creek. It was a beautiful free site, good cell service, right on a river. It was stunning scenery here, although it did get a bit smoky as there were fires nearby. So I spent 3 nights there. I would definitely recommend this spot. It has good cell service as well. It was a bit dusty, but that's the time of year, and it was quite dry. The second recreation site was Kicking Horse River. It was just east of Golden. Poor cell service and not as big as the first one. Got there a bit late, and so I got a spot, but it wasn't right on the water. So boondocking, I recommend in this area. There's lots of boondocking, lots of free spots. However, a lot of them don't have cell service. So my overall thoughts. One thing I learned while traveling is that every region has its own personality. The Okanagan offers lakes and sunshine. This part of BC offers mountains, forests, quieter communities, and endless scenic drives. Both were hot in July. Neither is better. They're simply different experiences. If you're traveling in a van, RV, or even by car, I would definitely recommend coming through this area. It's a beautiful area. If you've traveled through Nakusp, Burton, Revelstoke, or Golden, let me know your favorite spots that you stopped at. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. And if you're planning your own trip, I hope this video gives you a realistic idea of what to expect. Thanks for traveling along with me, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Bye for now.